And the Israeli War Cabinet met earlier to discuss the Gaza war. Hamda Salhout is in occupied East Jerusalem covering this for us. So you followed the War Cabinet, Hamda, and the wider cabinet meetings. What did you find out?
So this War Cabinet meeting tonight took place on the heels of a wider cabinet discussion in which several members of Netanyahu's coalition, including his own ruling Likud party, had expressed frustration on multiple different levels, saying that they wanted to be involved in negotiations when it came to the release of the captives. They wanted to be briefed on everything that the War Cabinet was being briefed on, and that those discussions should be taking place in the wider cabinet since they are members of the coalition. Now, you have had pressure on the Israeli prime minister over the last week or so from members of the right-wing part of the government. We're talking about Itamar Ben-Gvir, the country's national security minister, and Bezalel Smotrich, the country's finance minister, who essentially for the last 10 days have been threatening to leave the government if Netanyahu enters a deal that they say is not in favor of Israel. And that would mean the release of thousands of Palestinian detainees from Israeli jails. So you have that pressure, but then you also have pressure from the opposition. Benny Gantz, who joined Netanyahu's emergency government, he and his party are not part of the wider coalition. He's saying that if Netanyahu continues to cave to the right and succumb to pressure, he's going to leave the emergency government. Then you have another member of the opposition, Yair Lapid, who in the last few days has said if the right wing leaves the government, he and his party are ready to step in to offer Netanyahu a safety net if it means getting a deal that would bring back the Israeli captives from Gaza. The pressure just continuing to mount on Netanyahu, also from an international standpoint from the Americans, but also remember from the families of the captives who've been saying for around 4 months now that the government has failed them. They are not with them in their plight of bringing back their loved ones, saying that not enough has been done. And the prime minister himself has said repeatedly that Israel has red lines when it comes to discussions about these deals, like he's not going to end the war and he's not going to withdraw Israeli troops from Gaza. All of this came as the War Cabinet was expecting some sort of answer from Hamas on this deal and negotiations, but that hasn't happened yet. So it is seeming like while these negotiations and mediators and everyone is involved in these conversations, it seems like we are still a whiles away from a deal.
Hamda Salhout reporting from occupied East Jerusalem. Thank you very much.